Hey folks, it's Florida Deere. Thanks for joining me today on this video. And you really can't tell here because I'm not doing a big long video, presentation on the performance of the stump grinder, but its performance has fallen off quite a bit, and that is because of teeth, which we're going to replace in this video. It was also because potentially, some level of a clogged up fuel filter as well, or maybe not clogged up, but certainly closer to the end of its life than the beginning. And so I'll get into what you see here, and then we'll replace the teeth, and then I'll show you some performance on the other side as well. Hey folks, as you saw from that other video, you can see what the stump grinder is starting to do to stumps. It's really not grinding stumps, it's really just beating stumps, and beating stumps doesn't go as quickly as grinding stumps. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and replace all the teeth on this stump grinder. So I don't think it's going to be particularly fun because a lot of these bolts and nuts are at an angle, and as you can see, I had the impact out to square it away, but that can't get all of the angles, I don't believe. And it is a 15/16 size, so it's pretty large. And anyway, and they're pretty fine thread, which actually isn't that big a deal. The one I ordered they're going to be Baumalight OEM, and they actually come with the nuts. So I think that's good because some of the nuts are actually kind of worn down, and I'll kind of show you that in a minute as well. But that's what we're doing today, is basically doing some expensive maintenance on the Baumalight 1P24. So my intention here, as well as what I said I was going to do, was to replace all 34 teeth, and that is what I did. However, if you're approaching this yourself, what I would do is I would just examine each of the teeth individually, and you'll see that I've set a bunch of aside, the older ones that I took off there that I want to save. You don't need to replace all 34, or it's very unlikely that you need to replace all 34. So the ones that I have the most trouble with are the 4 in the middle that probably hardly get any action. So you can probably bypass those and make this job substantially easier by just inspecting them, making sure that they're fine, and then just replacing the ones that kind of look terrible. And I have a couple pictures of them right here. You can see that they are pretty worn, and most of them weren't worn like this, but quite a few were. Okay, so I have this many out so far. I can't remember why I separated those two and then those 4. I think that these are really worn. We'll get into that later, and I think these are my 2 new ones, although if this one's one of the new ones, it's already been compromised on the side. You can see there's a lot of wear. And then the other 2 that I have, here's a picture of them. You can see that they're really worn. But most of them look like they're pretty decent. I'm going to keep all of these and see if I can somehow sharpen them to, lengthen their use. And then, all right, folks. So there's this hole right here. I'm sure that's for access to, I don't know if you can see it lined up right there. Oops. Shiny thing is one of the nuts. So that's probably why that's there, So let's see if we can use that.
Okay, so basically we just need to He-Man these suckers. So this one's already loose. I got it loose. So, actually I can get... Okay, so the inside ones are kind of a huge pain in the butt. Let's see, where's the best place to... So here's the wheel. It's got junk right here, I believe. Unless it's a weld mark, which I don't think it is. But that's where all the teeth go. You can see where all the holes are now. That's all of them. So they go in the end part of the wheel, sort of canted in like a different direction, and then also straight ones. So I mean, I didn't take a picture or anything. I thought it was pretty straightforward. They go that way. But if I get confused, I can just turn on the PTO and look. But the shield is over there as well, the black shield right there. So obviously it goes that way. And then they have the square, almost like a carriage bolt, a little bit, I guess. And then you just put the nut on the other end. Some parts of this were simpler than I thought it would be. Like getting out these came out pretty easily. The ones where, it's very difficult access. And my goodness, those ones in the middle, I guess that's just because of the heat that the PTO generates. I don't know, but so we'll wait a couple days and our product will be in, and then I'll finish the rest of this project. All right, folks, so we have our new equipment in. We have our 24 pack, and then I ordered these extra 5, and then already had these 6 extras that come with the unit, so we can actually park that one and use the rest of these. So we have 1 spare. I didn't think it was necessary to have 6 spares. And then the way you can tell the spares from the new ones, the new ones and the spares have a flat end on the back of them. See? And that's indicative of all the spares. For some reason they're all flat. And then these, which are on the stump grinder, have like, I don't know if you can see that, but they're like V-shaped in here. Almost all of them, maybe. See? Yeah, there you go. That's V-shaped. I don't know why that's the case. So
here I'm just trying to clean up the wheel, get all the little chips of grease or grime or chips of wood off of the crevices and stuff like that, so all the new teeth will fit in well and I'll be able to, tighten them down without any issues.
So you can tell this one might be a little bit of a problem. First of all, it's not super round. I mean, it might look that way, but it's a little bit mangled up. You can tell right here, and then right there, and right there. It's like, let's see if I can find the next one. That's not necessarily super straight either. That one on fine, I think. Actually, it goes like this. Anyway, that might be a little bit of an issue we'll have to work out one way or the other. Not a big deal.
So I will have to disclose to you that this was not a particularly fun project to do. I think it was just very monotonous and very boring because basically we're doing the same thing times 34. And as mentioned earlier in the video, you're really not going to have to take every one of these apart. So hopefully it'll go a little easier for you. You probably can examine on the stump grinder before you replace the parts. Probably a 24 pack would have been plenty, and would have actually had some spares. That's probably a way to order them. And so that's the wisdom, hopefully, that I can pass on, is that, definitely examine them before you buy a bunch to replace.
So this is going to be the real fun part, getting these in, the ones inside, with an actual wrench. So this job has worn me out. Might be an easier way to do this, but with the tools I have, this is, I think, the route.
So just some additional clarification. I'm not at the end of this job quite yet, but the rating for these bolts is 150 foot-pounds. I think the only thing I've ever dealt with that I can think of offhand that was more than 150 foot-pounds was the loader bolts after I replaced the hooks for towing and traveling on the loader, and those were, I think, 223, which is crazy. The torque wrench I have only goes up to 150, so when I did the loader bolts, I just killed them as best I could. And I often joke about the loose, tight, and broke thing, but I think a lot of things are pretty acceptable to that. There's a number of things that you can't do that with, like head gaskets or other things that deal with aluminum, and you're not going to get away with doing that to that kind of stuff. So you just got to be careful with that. But these were pretty strong. You can easily tighten them down without too much issue. So, but just remember, 150 foot-pounds for each of the bolts that are involved with the teeth. And we are coming pretty close to the end of this this job.
All right, the last ones left are the ones inside inside this hole, which someone will have to go through that hole to put those ones on there. I don't have any of them lined up, but you can see the ones on the inside there. Well, there's only 4 of them, I think. There's one. So that lines up right there through the hole. So. That's pretty good. I think the ultimate test will be when I actually use it and one of those things goes flying off and it's the neighbor's cat. But they all seem to be pretty darn tight to me right now, so I'll use it once or twice and bring the 15/16 wrench with me, just in case we need to do any sort of tightening in field.
So I'm not sure how much you can see here, but that's definitely not beating the stump anymore. It's definitely cutting the stump, and so that's good. And then I'm not quite sure what I was filming here. I was trying to look for a stump and try to show you how quickly it was moving. It did move much quicker through stumps after that changeover than it did before. If you liked the video, hit the like button. I'd appreciate that. And if you want to see more videos about the John Deere 1 series or my John Deere garden tractors, you can hit the subscribe button as well. I'd appreciate that. Thanks for watching, guys.